Your mind is an artist in its element, painting pictures and drawing conclusions based on little evidence. That probably shouldn't influence your judgment of another person. Hey, sometimes this is how the mind works. It can paint a whole bunch of people black with a single brush stroke. We are usually blind to our own blindness, and so we grope in the darkness of stereotypes and bad jokes. Why not judge people based on their own merits? Be gracious enough to hand them the benefit of the doubt for your own benefits. The stereotypes, man, the stereotypes. Listen, the first of my kind that you meet is not my prototype. So what if I told you that I'm a Christian? Would you judge me based on the life that I'm living, or you would automatically assume that I'm judgmental? As if that in itself isn't judgmental. Would you also assume that I am gullible? Gullible enough to believe that it is plausible that the earth was created? Well, I regard as truth the creation story found in a book that you might deem outdated. So yeah, you're not too far from right. And I also believe the Big Bang is not qualified to be the source of life. I believe the human body was molded by hands, and the universe looks too systematically arranged to have happened by chance. I don't believe that God is not real. I mean, can you pause and think about the fact that we have pores in our skin and hair in our nostrils? I believe that human anatomy is a product of somebody's intelligence, and the universe couldn't have come to being by a series of random unguided events. But men want to be the captains of the ships of their life. Others want to chill at cruising altitude as a sole pilot to their flight. You could lift your status from man to God with a forklift, but you soon realize that you are only a chicken-hearted pilot in the cockpit. Every invention is a product of the human mind. That in itself is a reminder that anything that appears to have been designed points to the existence of an intelligent designer. So it seems absurd that we are made to believe we need to accept that creation is godless. How does that work? You mean to tell me that iPhones can also choose to be Steve Jobless? Please, in this world we are travelers and pilgrims. People read about the Crusades and assume right away that since you're a Christian, you could kill them. The heart of man is desperately wicked. That goes for everybody else and not just extremists. According to historians, Joseph Stalin killed 15 million Russians. But people barely talk about this. Does he get away with it merely because he was atheist? Let's change the narrative. Let's assume Stalin was a religious person. Generations of religious people would have been expected to answer questions. In defending Stalin, they say his non-belief didn't influence his action. Please, let's not lower the bar. You do things either because of or in spite of who you are. So it's either he killed all those people because he was atheist, or in spite of the fact that he was atheist. But no matter what the case is, I know we wouldn't be here trying to decipher his motives if he was a theist. The stereotypes. The stereotypes. Big shout outs to my brethren that claim to be erudite. Now I understand that your love for Africa is so strong, but I think it is so wrong that you treat the term African Christian as an oxymoron. A person's worldview is a lens through which he views the world. The philosophy you live your life based on should be able to give a perfect definition of yourself. But we can't have a clear view with your worldview like somebody was dusting ancient books on a shelf, or like we're staring at our own reflections in the rippled waters of a well. Have you ever heard anybody say that Jesus is the white man's God because he was introduced to us by the English? Like, dude, seriously, do you need a PhD in theology to know that when it comes to his nationality while on earth, Jesus was Jewish? Then they come up with all sorts of theories and assertions that the Bible was brought to Africa to our detriment. Sometimes it seems we choose to intentionally forget that not only was Christianity prevalent, but the major driving force of development on some other continents. So why is Christianity regarded as a white man's religion? And why is the African Christian treated like a treasonous fellow? How dare you redefine what it means to be African without sending the rest of us a memo? Acts chapter 13. Acts chapter 13. Acts chapter 13 talks about Simeon the nigger and Lucius of Cyrene. Cyrene happens to be in modern day Libya. And I hope you people remember the Queen of Sheba. And you know she traveled all the way to Israel from Ethiopia. Acts chapter 8 talks about the Ethiopian eunuch who was reading the book of Isaiah. So how is Christianity the white man's religion when there are so many people in the Bible who hailed from Africa? If you were hanging from the highest cliff with weary arms and you were slowly losing your grip, and somebody came and offered you salvation, and all you cared about is what color his face is, excuse me, isn't that racist? No matter how proud I am about my heritage and history, Africa will never cease being a continent and suddenly become a religion or a philosophy. It takes a lot more than reading a few books to break the chains of mental slavery and set our minds free. And since you people are saying we should all go back to our roots, how about we start with the man who died on the tree? The stereotypes. The first of my kind that you meet is not my prototype. So I wrote this poem for anybody whose faith in God has been buried in the ground at Awudume. From the highlands of Kwewu, through the Shire Hills, right down to Agbozume. See, I wrote this poem for that bloke who gloats about the fact that his king is ebony, forgetting that his mind is still a British colony. This is to the people who judge Christianity merely based on what is written in Deuteronomy. Sincerely, I want to know, do you really think that Romeo and Juliet is a story about death and suicide because of the manner in which the two major characters died? This sort of view is only possible if you turn a blind eye to the full story and focus on the stereotypes. And to my brethren who have seen the light, if your life doesn't mirror that of Christ, then you need 180 degrees tilting of the mirror of your life. The stereotypes. Amen.